Today was Wednesday, July the 9th, 2025, and we were in Rome, Italy. I had planned to see everything in Rome in just one day, but boy, I was wrong. But I would be the person who would start her tour of Rome with ancient Egyptian obelisks, so here we are. This obelisk's construction began under the reign of Pharaoh Seti I, who ruled Egypt about 3,300 years ago. It was completed during the reign of his son, Egypt's greatest pharaoh and my all-time favorite person in history, Ramses II. Per his father's wishes, the obelisk was placed in a temple dedicated to the ancient Egyptian sun god Ra in Heliopolis, which today lies in ruins outside of Cairo. The obelisk was brought to Rome by Caesar Augustus in 10 BC in celebration of his victory over Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Contrary to what our guide said, the subway system in Rome was very reliable and easy to navigate, and of course allowed me to hear the sweet sounds of the underground trains. So first we have the Arch of Constantine here, and after Diocletian's abdication, there were power struggles in Rome, but ultimately Constantine I prevailed in the year 312, and this arch was constructed in 315. So one thing we had to see was the Colosseum. So we ordered our tickets online in advance with a preset time of arrival. So this is Rome's most iconic site, and it's the world's largest ancient amphitheater ever constructed. But before the Colosseum was here, this spot had once been a huge elaborate palace complex constructed by and belonging to Nero. After Nero's untimely death, Rome descended into chaos and power struggles. The ultimate victor was Vespasian, who started a new dynasty of rulers, and one of Vespasian's hobbies was tarnishing the image of and destroying things built by Nero. So he deliberately chose this spot to begin construction on the Colosseum, which he presented as a gift to the people. Construction took about a decade, and the year after the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, Vespasian's son, Emperor Titus, opened the Colosseum. The Colosseum had 76 entrances, 2 for the emperor, 2 for the participants, and the rest for the spectators. Since the amphitheater could hold 50,000 people, a lot of entrances were necessary. The Colosseum hosted all sorts of events, gladiator games, dramatic performances, and even executions. For about 4 centuries, crowds and the emperors attended the events, and sometimes even the emperors themselves performed. Of course, we need to talk about the Hypogeum, the 2 levels of subterranean chambers and tunnels, which you can see down here that has been opened up for us. These held the gladiators and animals before they were sent into the arena. And here's another view of it. So after the fall of Rome, the Colosseum fell into disuse and suffered from neglect. Earthquakes didn't help the situation. By the year 1900, only 1/3 of the Colosseum remained intact. In the 1990s, however, preservation and restoration efforts intensified so that we can continue to enjoy this ancient wonder for years to come. So remember how I said that I had planned to see everything in one day? Well, this is when it was obvious to me that that wasn't going to happen. So we had tickets to Palatine Hill and the Roman Forum, but the line was so long that we would have spent hours in the line and would have missed anything and everything else, maybe not even completely seeing those sites. So as we walked by, I took some video of, like, this is the Roman Forum right here, en route to the Mamertine prison, and that's just gonna have to do until I see Rome again next time. So yes, Mamertine prison was constructed in the 7th century BCE and was a maximum security prison for high-profile prisoners that were considered enemies of Rome. Paul, yes, the Paul, the one who wrote many books of the New Testament, was imprisoned in the Mamertine dungeon, a dark, dirty, and dreary place before his execution sometime around the year 65. It is assumed that Paul wrote 1st and 2nd Timothy during his time in the prison. The Apostle Peter was also imprisoned here before his execution. No trip to Rome is complete without some one-on-one time with Augustus Caesar, also known as Octavian. He was the founder of the Roman Empire and ruled over it from 27 BCE until his death in 14 CE. And what we're looking at here is Augustus's Forum. There are 5 imperial fora in Rome, and the other one we are going to take a look at is Trajan's Forum, which we are going to see right now. Construction on Trajan's Forum began sometime around the year 106, and the site was opened in the year 112. It was the final and largest forum in Rome. The forum once included 2 libraries which flanked Trajan's column. The marble column, which was completed in the year 113, towers to 126 feet high and depicts 155 scenes from Trajan's victorious war campaigns against the Dacians, modern-day Romania. Trajan himself shows up in 58 of the scenes. Trajan's ashes were buried under the base of the column. Another must-see for our day in Rome was the Trevi Fountain. The fountain was constructed between the years 1732 and 1762. It was constructed in the Baroque style. Nearly 1 million euros are collected from the fountain each year, with its millions of visitors tossing in coins. All right, next we headed back to the subway, the beautiful sounds of the underground trains, to head to the other must-see when you are in Rome. I wanted to spend time there and go inside, but unfortunately, that just cannot be done in one day. Rome definitely needs 3 days. And what place am I talking about? None other than St. Peter's Basilica and the Sistine Chapel. Peter the Apostle, whose life and times are depicted in the Bible, was reportedly executed by the Emperor Nero sometime around the year 65 and buried on the spot where the basilica now stands. In 316, the Emperor Constantine decided to build a church on St. Peter's burial site. The original church stood for over 1,000 years before being replaced by the current basilica, constructed in the Renaissance style, obviously, and of which Michelangelo himself was an architect. Speaking of Michelangelo, my favorite sculpture, La Pieta, is located inside. I would have loved to have seen that. So it was at this time that I had to go see the other ancient Egyptian obelisk. It is the tallest obelisk in Italy, but that is not what makes this one cool. This obelisk dates to the reign of ancient Egyptian pharaoh Thutmose III, who ruled Egypt over 3,400 years ago. He was also the father of Amenhotep II, who many scholars believe was the pharaoh of the Exodus, and I do agree with them. The obelisk was placed in the Temple of Karnak, which is located near the modern city of Luxor, situated on the ruins of the ancient Egyptian city of Thebes. It was brought to Rome and placed in Circus Maximus by Emperor Constantine II in the year 357. It was excavated, restored, and moved to this spot in 1588.